I just received the most ironic access to information fee. It's such a perfect example of government ineptitude that I could not have imagined it in my most fevered dreams. I just received a bill for 5 figures for photocopying. Is this Y2K? What year is this? Now wait till you hear what program I was asking about. We saw this request for proposal coming out of Saskatchewan a little while ago on their tenders and government contracts website. It's a request for proposal. So they're asking for interested contractors for the provision of the solutions and services encompassed in the Saskatchewan Individual Digital Identity Roadmap. The government of Saskatchewan is looking for a long-term partner to design, build, test, implement, roll out, and operate a level of assurance 3 digital identity. So naturally, we wanted to know what that meant. What do they mean by digital identity? Will it include maybe your driver's license, your SGI, so your Saskatchewan insurance, your healthcare number, your passport, or if we take a more sinister bent, maybe your vaccination status? We didn't want to jump to conclusions, but we wanted to know more about what Saskatchewan's digital identity program would encompass and what they were going to use this thing for. So we did what we do here at Rebel News. We filed for access to information. We wanted the government of Saskatchewan to provide all copies of documents regarding the proposal, development, and issuing of that request for proposal for individual digital IDs relating to the Saskatchewan Individual Digital Identification Roadmap. It's a mouthful, but basically we wanted everything about the digital ID being proposed in Saskatchewan from January 1st, 2020 to February 2022. Now, here's where I can't even believe how clueless and unaware the government is, but I really should at this point. The Saskatchewan government sent us a bill for $15,317 and change, and they want 1/2 of it up front. That's an enormous fee, especially given that Saskatchewan has about as many people inside of it as the city of Edmonton. And when I file access to information into the city of Edmonton, I never get a fee back of this enormity. So what are the charges for? Luckily, the Saskatchewan government has given me that information. They want about $2,900 in labor to locate the documents. So that indicates to me that there are a ton of documents to see. Actually, the next line item tells me exactly how many documents there are. 50,000 pages of documents related to the digital ID program being introduced in Saskatchewan. And instead of sending me an enormous PDF via email, because it's 2022, you guys, they want me to pay someone, a government worker, to photocopy 50,000 pages, and then they want to stick, I guess, those 50,000 pages in the mail and send them to me. Let's just stop for a second and appreciate the irony in this. This is for a digital ID because they tell me paper and hard copies are outdated. Yet when I file for access to information about the digital ID, they send me a few reams of paper instead of a digital document. Are they this clueless, or is this a paywall set up to prevent me from getting this information? It's the government, so it's probably 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. But this is where I need your help. I'm going to do a couple of things here because I want this information. For the government to be this insane about keeping it out of my hands, well, that means there's something the government doesn't want to end up in my hands, something they don't want to ever see the light of day. So the first thing I'm going to do here is appeal the fees and remind the government what a PDF is. I've never seen a bill like this for photocopying in my nearly 7 years in access to information journalism, let alone a $12,500 photocopying bill. This is a first, even for me. So like I said, first things first, I'm going to appeal these fees. And I'm going to tell them that I don't need a human being to go down to Staples and photocopy documents. Scan them, send them to me in an email like a normal person from this century would. And then, second, I'm going to invite you to make a donation to offset our research costs on this story, because even if I do get that $12,000 fee knocked in half, I still have 50,000 pages of documents to go through. And I'm going to call in our researcher to help me. Because frequently with these kinds of investigations, a keyword search is fine, but doesn't really capture everything. Sometimes we have to physically lay eyeballs on each and every page. That's an enormous time-consuming task. Unfortunately, they tried to keep this stuff from me, which means there's something to keep from me. So now I have to look. If you'd like to help offset our research and filing costs, which will be huge no matter how you look at it, please visit rebelinvestigates.com and make a donation to our special investigative journalism fund. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. The Saskatchewan government has just hit us with a $15,000 bill, a paywall, really, to prevent us from asking questions about their coming digital ID program. We are going to appeal those fees, but if you'd like to help offset our research costs in our attempts to hold the government to account for the things they do behind closed doors when they think nobody's watching, please consider a donation to rebelinvestigates.com.